I had just a question about breaking up with somebody you were in a relationship with for about 3 years, living with them and had a miscarriage and all this stuff.
Hold on, hang on. I want you to ask your question, but I'm going to interrupt you because I want to show you something. You're breaking up with somebody I was in a relationship with?
No, me.
Okay.
That I was with somebody who was.
Hold on. I know that. I know that. But what you said was, I want to ask you about breaking up with somebody that you were in a relationship. You said you instead of breaking up with somebody that I was in a relationship, meaning I, Samantha. Now, I'm just pointing this out because sometimes when we externalize and we don't use the word I, that means there's something conflictual about taking full ownership of all the way that it feels and the conflicts of that. So I just wanted to make you aware of there's a little maybe verbal distancing from this. Just pay attention to language. Okay. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Say I.
Yes.
Say, okay. Now let's start.
Okay.
I'm not being nitpicky,
okay,
but this is huge. I watch it in myself. I watch it myself too.
Okay. Well, I was in a relationship with somebody that I had just recently got out of that relationship, and they were cheating all the time and all of that.
Cheating
so the question really
like
is
multiple cheating?
Yes. And they would always deny it, blame me for it.
How does someone blame you for their not keeping their clothes on with somebody else? How does that work?
He would say stuff like, well, you don't listen to me, or, you're not being as affectionate with me. But I had lost I had a miscarriage. I had pancreatitis. I had all these issues. But nonetheless, he did. So
yeah, nonetheless, that's a good lesson learned, because you don't want to be in a relationship with a blamer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they're out of control. By definition, a person that blames is out of control, and you don't want to be in a relationship with somebody that's out of control. So, anyway.
Right.
You're done now.
So I've been listening. Yeah, we were living together about probably a month ago. He decided he wanted to go to a different city and see these girls that he used to mess around with a long time ago, and I just left. I got somewhere else and left. And so I'm living on my own now.
A little late, but good move.
Yeah. Yeah. So my question really is the thoughts that you get, the second guessing, like, well, maybe if I said this, or maybe if I did that, that wouldn't have happened, or this wouldn't have happened. The rehearsing in the mind. How do you overcome that?
Okay. I am so glad you asked this. In fact, we're going to do a whole segment on this sometime. Because when people that are hurt by somebody that doesn't take responsibility, what you have in that relationship is you have a dynamic of what we call under ownership by the other person, him. He didn't take ownership of his own choices, what he was doing, all of that kind of stuff, and slowly blamed you, right? And somehow somehow in your wiring, and I want you to go back and do kind of an inventory of all your significant formative relationships. Somehow you've learned and been wired to think, gosh, when somebody else hurts me, if I had been different, that wouldn't have happened. If I were prettier, if I were smarter, if I didn't raise my voice, if I gave more, if I sacrificed more, then they wouldn't have ... Okay?
Right.
So I want you to look at, and I want you to draw 2 circles on a piece of paper, right? Here's you, and here's the other. Okay? Now, if you don't have a piece of paper right now, you can hit rewind on this later. I don't know what minute mark we're at, but I'll go like that on the video, and then it's you. Okay. So I want you to draw a circle, and here's you and here's the other person. And
Okay.
start with three things: feelings, attitudes, and behaviors. Now, really, the list I like is about 8 or 10 things. It's feelings, attitudes, behaviors, choices, limits, desires, thoughts, talents, and what we love. It's about 10 things that when John and I wrote the book Boundaries, we call these the treasures of a person's soul. Okay. So all of those things, your feelings, your attitudes, and behaviors, those are your responsibility. Yours, your feelings, your attitudes, your behaviors, your choices, your thoughts. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Go over to the other circle: feelings, attitudes, behaviors, choices, on and on. His, live in his circle. Those are his responsibility. Okay. If you, when you play the game, and so if I had done this or that, what's an example of the stuff that goes through your head? If you had done what, then he wouldn't have done that.
Well, when he says stuff like, when I would confront him about this stuff, he would just bury his head in the sand, give me the silent treatment, not talk to me at all about anything. And so I would constantly go up to him and ask, why are you doing this? Can you explain this to me? You said that you would, give me your passwords and all these things from the last time you cheated, then you changed it. So I would just ask him why he's doing it, and then I would get louder. I wouldn't yell, but I would get louder. And he would say, well, I don't like yelling because my ex-wife did it. And he would just give me the silent treatment, not for a little bit, weeks.
I get it. I get it. So in your circle, what did you do? I asked for the truth. Mm-hmm. That's what you did. Okay. You're responsible for that. Let's look up any book of rules in the world and see if that's something that you should be sorry for. No, it's not. You're not going to find that anywhere. All right. Now, on his side of it, he's the one cheating. He's the one blaming you. He's the one getting mad for you doing nothing. So I want you to start looking at these two circles in your significant relationship. And when you see somebody doing something that falls in those categories, feelings, attitudes, behaviors, choices, etc., and they are trying to make you responsible for that, that's where the boundary is. And you got to retrain your brain. Okay. Now, probably you're going to have some people around you like me, right, that can listen, good friends, a counselor, somebody can listen and say, Samantha, what are you talking about? That's not your fault. He did that. And you're going to have to get this retrained. Mm-hmm. But I want you to look at the significant relationships where you learned it. If you go on boundaries.me, we have a lot of material about this, because one of the things we have to do to have good relationships is to let other people own their stuff and we own our stuff. Okay. Now, one caveat, and then I got to go to some other callers. Sometimes we will do things that actually, we do make mistakes. We do hurt people. We get mad or this and the other, and I'm responsible for that. Okay. If somebody else says, if they're hurt by that, they got to take responsibility for what they're feeling and not do a silent treatment, not avoid you, but come into the relationship and be responsible with it and say, hey, Samantha, that hurt my feelings. And then you own the fact that you did that. And you say, okay, I'm sorry I said it that way. But you don't apologize for what you don't have to apologize for. Gosh, I'm sorry if I said it angrily. Let me say it again. Okay. I don't like it when you lie to me, and I won't put up with that. So just think about those two circles and think about stop owning stuff that doesn't belong to you. Okay. Does that help? Did I lose Samantha? Bigger question is, am I still alive? Oh, am I alive? Hi, guys. Anybody out there in the universe?
You're good, Henry.
Okay. Hey, Howie. So, Samantha, sorry I lost you there, but it sounds like to me You said you've broken up with this guy, that you have dodged a bullet. And I would tell you this, that sometimes people run into more than one bullets if they don't learn what people that shoot at people look like, where they hang out. In other words, if your people picker is broken, you could go hug another one like this. So I want you to start thinking about, how good am I at spotting deception, blaming, gaslighting, excusing, externalization, and all of that? Because you know what a good man does? If you're over in your circle and he's over here and you're being angry or critical or whatever, he doesn't say, oh, I think I'll go find 12 ex-girlfriends, right? Because you did this. No, a good one wouldn't go sleep with the 12 exes anyway, right? A good one is not going to act out and blame you. A good one, when you failed them, they're going to turn around and come to you and try to love you into a better place. And they're going to say, you know what? I really care about you. I want to be close to you. It's hard when you're yelling at me, sweetheart. Come on. But they're going to be loving, and they're going to talk about the problem, and they're going to confront the problem. They're not going to let you get away with screaming at them. They're not going to be passive and just masochistic. But they're not going to go rob banks because you did something wrong. That's not what a good relationship is like. We bring each other up, not act out because somebody does something we don't like. Okay? Whew.